welcome to the TC. My name's David, and today we're going to see if it's time to upgrade your Series 1 or 2 Apple Watch in 2020. The Apple Watch Series 1 and 2 were released on September 12, 2016, and were the replacement for the original Apple Watch, the Series 0. The Apple Watch Series 1 and 2 brought important upgrades over the Series 0, such as much faster processors, as well as the ability for swimming and GPS support on the Series 2. Looking at the design of the Apple Watch Series 1 and 2, we find the same basic looks as the original Apple Watch. The version I have here is the aluminum 42mm Sport version in space gray, but there is also a stainless steel option and other colors. On the top, we find the display, which is covered in what Apple called the Ion X glass, which is just a fancy term for glass that has been ionized to be more scratch and crack resistant. If you opted for a more expensive stainless steel model, you would have sapphire covering the front instead. Looking on the sides, we find the digital crown, which allows for scrolling, opening the app drawer, as well as engaging Siri and going back home. We also see the side button, which allows us to open up the multitasking bar, notify emergency services, and also restart the Apple Watch when pressing it with the digital crown at the same time. On the other side, we find two grills for the speaker and one hole for the microphone, which is used for things like Siri, taking calls, and transcription. Looking at the bottom of the Apple Watch, we find the optical heart sensor used for detecting heart rate, as well as the text that identifies what Apple Watch you have. There are also two impressions which you can press in to take the latch off of your Apple Watch bands to remove them. Finally, inside of the grooves for the bands, we find the service latch for Apple text to use when diagnosing the Apple Watch, as well as more identifiers for the watch. Moving on to using the watch, the Apple Watch Series 1 is starting to show its age. The speed of the watch is much slower than you would find using a newer Apple Watch, and the screen isn't as bright, and you do lose out on certain new features that newer Apple Watches have, such as searching the web, Siri talking back to you, and you lose out on some new watch faces, for example. However, the watch functions just as you would expect for a device that is now 4 years old. It's usable, but don't expect it to be blazing fast. The reason why it is slower is due to the chips inside these Apple Watches. The Series 2 is powered by Apple's S2 chip, which provided 2 cores clocked at 520 MHz and about 50% more CPU performance and 2 times the GPU performance of the original Apple Watch. The Series 1 was powered instead by the S1P chip, which is a derivative of the S2 chip, just without the GPS inside of it. Both these watches have the same amount of RAM at 512 MB, which is the same as the original Apple Watch. Taking this into consideration, it's understandable that the Series 1 and 2 both aren't as quick as its newer siblings, as it's now 4-year-old processors, and there has been a ton of advancement on Apple's processors in the last couple of years. Although it isn't as fast, it is still usable and is still great for tracking things like your workouts, steps, calories, mindfulness, getting notifications, controlling your music, or even as a remote for your iPhone camera. However, the speakers on the Series 1 and 2 leave more to be desired and can be quite hard to hear when in a call, but the microphone quality seems to be good when asking others how I sound at the other end of the line. At WWDC 2020, Apple showed off the new features that are coming as part of the WatchOS 7 update, but if you take a look at their site, you'll find that it does not support the Series 1 and 2. Considering these watches received almost 4 years of software support, it isn't too surprising to see it not get the next major software release, but it is still a little disappointing. The Series 1 and 2 have reached the end of the line for support, but does that mean that you should stop using one if you have it? It depends on your use case, honestly. If you don't find the newer features of the newer watches to be enticing enough to upgrade or can't afford the prices of the new watches, and you're fine with your Series 1 or 2, then I would keep it. It does the basics you expect for a smartwatch, and it will probably be fine for about a year or two after. However, if you're in the market for an Apple Watch, I would suggest looking for a newer model like a Series 4 or 5 since the Series 3 is getting old, and I have a sneaky suspicion it might not get WatchOS 8 next year due to having a 32-bit processor. Well, to sum up, the Apple Watch Series 1 and 2 are good at what they're doing and what they were originally made to do. Software updates to these watches added features, but the older hardware can't prevent it from being slow to use in 2020. If you need a smartwatch and want features like cellular connectivity or an EKG sensor, you're going to have to shell out the money for a more expensive and newer Apple Watch. But if you're looking for something to tell you the time, give you notifications, track your workouts, and you're fine dealing with less support, then the Series 1 and 2 should be fine for the meantime until those more expensive models start going on sale. So do you still use the Series 1 or 2 Apple Watch? Let me know in the comments below, and if you liked what you saw, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching!